June 13th, 2025, a date now etched into the chronicles of modern warfare. That morning, Israel launched a wave of precision strikes, targeting Iran's nuclear facilities, military strongholds, even residential zones, under the codename Operation Rising Lion. By nightfall, Iran roared back. Over 150 ballistic missiles, more than 100 drones. Operation True Promise 3 had begun. But this isn't just about nukes or drones. This is a fire that's been smoldering for centuries. Because the Iran-Israel conflict, it didn't start in 2025. It didn't even start in 1948. Today, we the big picture zoom way out to uncover the long, tangled history of this ancient rivalry. Let's begin. Long before the missiles flew, before embassies were stormed and nuclear fears loomed, there was a time when Persia, what we now call Iran, was a protector of the Jewish people, not an enemy. Jewish presence in Persian lands stretches back nearly 2,700 years, beginning with the Babylonian exile. When Babylon destroyed Solomon's temple, thousands of Jews were forced from their homeland. Many found refuge in the Persian Empire. Then came Cyrus the Great, founder of the Achaemenid Empire. According to the Hebrew Bible, he issued a decree allowing the Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their destroyed temple. To the Jewish people, Cyrus wasn't just a liberator, he was anointed by God. This act of tolerance is remembered as a golden chapter in Jewish history. Even today, Cyrus is one of the few non-Jews referred to in Scripture as Messiah. The bond between Jews and Persians didn't end there. The Book of Esther recounts Jewish life in the Persian Empire during the reign of King Ahasuerus, likely Xerxes the Great. It tells of a Jewish queen, a deadly plot against her people, and a dramatic salvation that's still celebrated today as the Festival of Purim. So, as you can see, for centuries, Jews lived under Persian rule, not as enemies, but as neighbors. But that harmony would not last forever. So, how did two civilizations with a shared past become each other's nemesis? The answer lies not in ancient times but in the violent upheavals of the modern Middle East. The creation of Israel in 1948, the Islamic Revolution of 1979. First, Iran stood firmly against the idea of a Jewish state. In 1947, the United Nations proposed dividing British-controlled Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. Iran said no. It was one of just 13 countries to vote against the plan, fearing it would ignite generations of bloodshed. And they weren't wrong. 2 years later, Iran also voted against admitting the new state of Israel into the UN. But then, history took a sharp turn. After the 1953 CIA-backed coup reinstated the pro-Western Shah, Iran's stance softened and quickly turned strategic. By the late 1950s, Iran became the second Muslim-majority country, after Turkey, to officially recognize Israel. This was part of Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion's Alliance of the Periphery, a strategy to make allies on the edge of the Arab world. And Iran fit perfectly. Behind the scenes, ties ran deep. Israel opened a permanent diplomatic mission in Tehran, functioning as a de facto embassy. Trade also flourished. Iran became Israel's key oil supplier, and the Eilat-Ashkelon pipeline funneled Iranian oil to Europe. Israeli engineers built roads and infrastructure. El Al flights connected Tel Aviv and Tehran. And in secret, the two militaries collaborated on cutting-edge projects, like Project Flower, a joint missile development initiative. But beneath the surface, discontent also simmered. Islamist voices, especially Ruhollah Khomeini and Mahmoud Taleghani, condemned the Shah's alliance with Israel and championed the Palestinian cause. Public sympathy for Palestinians surged. They called Israel an oppressor and accused the regime of betraying Islam. Now, the old alliance was about to collapse. The revolution was coming, and with it, $1 billion in unpaid debts, broken contracts, and a new enemy on the horizon. In 1979, the world watched as Iran's monarchy collapsed, and an Islamic republic rose from its ashes. The Iranian Revolution wasn't just political, it was ideological. Led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, Iran swung from a pro-Western monarchy to a hardline theocracy, fiercely anti-American and openly hostile toward Israel. Overnight, diplomatic ties were severed. Israel's embassy in Tehran closed. Its keys were handed to the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO. Iranian passports were stamped. The holder of this passport is not entitled to travel to the occupied Palestine. To the new Islamic regime, Israel wasn't just a rival. It was the little Satan, the sworn enemy of Islam. Khomeini declared that Israel must be wiped off the map. His successor, Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, doubled down. In 2000, he called Israel a cancerous tumor. In 2012, he predicted that the superfluous and fake Zionist regime will disappear from the landscape. But behind the curtain, something stranger was unfolding. During the bloody Iran-Iraq War, Iran found itself isolated and desperate, and ironically, help came from the very state it had just condemned. Despite all the public venom, Israel secretly supplied Iran with weapons, anti-tank guns, spare parts for aircraft, even TOW missiles, some of them originally American. Much of it was quietly paid for with Iranian oil and Iranian intelligence. This backdoor arms pipeline, later known as part of the Iran-Contra affair, was greenlit by the Reagan administration, and the cooperation didn't end with weapons. In 1981, Israel destroyed Iraq's Osirak reactor, a bold move that quietly aligned with Iran's own interests. Israel saw Saddam Hussein as a greater threat than Tehran. According to reports, even after the ceasefire, nearly 100 Israeli advisors and technicians remained near Tehran, working in secret camps. But while this unlikely collaboration played out in the shadows, a new threat was taking shape in the open. Iran poured resources into Lebanon's Shia militias, training, arming, and funding them. By the mid-1980s, these groups united under one name, Hezbollah. Their mission? To drive out Israeli forces and one day destroy Israel itself. The age of proxies had begun, and the battlefield was no longer limited to borders. It was now ideological, regional, and at the same time, global. By the early 1990s, the frost of indirect hostility between Iran and Israel began to burn hot. The Cold War had ended. Iraq, once a regional power, was crushed in the Gulf War. A power vacuum opened, and Iran stepped in to fill it. In Jerusalem, Israel watched with growing concern. Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin took a hardline approach. Iran, he warned, wasn't just anti-Israel. It was becoming the new epicenter of global Islamist militancy. Its fingerprints began appearing on attacks across the globe. 1992, bombing of the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires. 1994, destruction of the AMIA Jewish Center. 85 dead. Argentina's investigation would later blame Iran and Hezbollah. Tehran denied it. But in Tel Aviv, the message was clear. No more diplomacy. No more covert whispers. This was open hostility, and the war had gone global. Beginning in 2010, Iran's top nuclear scientists started turning up dead. Car bombs, remote detonations, silenced pistols. Masoud Ali Mohammadi, Majid Shariari, Mustafa Ahmadi Roshan, Faridun Abbasi, Dariush Razinejad. One by one, they were eliminated. Most believe these hits were carried out by Mossad, Israel's feared intelligence service. Their goal? Delay or cripple Iran's nuclear program. But assassinations weren't the only weapon. Enter Stuxnet, a weapon unlike anything seen before. Developed by the US and Israel, this cyber virus targeted Iran's Natanz nuclear facility, causing thousands of uranium-enriching centrifuges to spin out of control. The virus was so sophisticated, experts later called it the world's first true cyber weapon. Stuxnet was just the beginning. Other malware, Duku, Flame followed, infiltrating Iranian systems, stealing data, and crippling operations. Israel also stepped up physical sabotage. In 2011, an explosion at an IRGC missile base killed General Hassan Muqaddam, the architect of Iran's missile program. The same year, blasts damaged the Isfahan nuclear site. Officially, no one claimed responsibility. But few had doubts. Israel also intercepted Iranian arms shipments en route to its enemies, like the Class C cargo ship in 2014, reportedly carrying long-range rockets bound for Gaza. But Iran didn't stay idle. In 2006, Hezbollah launched a deadly cross-border raid into Israel. The Lebanon War erupted. Over 1,300 dead. Israeli intel believed IRGC officers supervised Hezbollah's attacks, including the missile strike on the Israeli corvette INS Hanit. In the years to follow, the shadow war spilled into Syria. As Syria descended into chaos, Iran dug in, deploying troops, building bases. Israel responded with firepower. Since 2017, the Israeli Air Force has launched over 400 airstrikes, targeting Iranian weapons convoys, IRGC posts, Hezbollah hideouts, and even high-ranking commanders. Israel made it clear it would not allow Iran to build a military corridor from Tehran to the Mediterranean. But Iran struck back. In the shadows, Iranian operatives began targeting Israeli diplomats, Jewish centers, and tourists worldwide. Bomb plots in Thailand, India, Turkey, and Azerbaijan were foiled. In 2011, the US uncovered an Iranian plan to bomb the Israeli and Saudi embassies in Washington, D.C. and Buenos Aires. While the explosions echoed in secret, the threats became louder. In 2012, Iran's Air Force Chief Amir Ali Hajizadeh warned that if Israel attacked, it would cease to exist. IRGC Commander Hossein Salami called a strike on Iran a historic opportunity to wipe Israel off the map. By 2015, Iran's besieged militia declared that erasing Israel is non-negotiable. And in 2023, Iran unveiled the Fatah hypersonic missile, capable of reaching Israel in under 400 seconds. Its message? We can strike first. You won't stop us. Then came the moment that changed everything. October 7, 2023, Iran-backed Hamas launched an unprecedented attack on southern Israel, with over 1,200 Israelis killed. Israel responded swiftly and brutally, not just against Hamas, but also Hezbollah in the north and IRGC assets across the region. Iran's proxies were bleeding, but Israel wasn't finished. On April 1, 2024, Israel bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing multiple IRGC commanders. Then in July, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated in Tehran, a bold and symbolic strike deep in Iran's heart. Iran retaliated hard. The skies over Israel lit up as over 150 ballistic missiles and 100 drones were launched from Iran. For the first time, Iran and Israel were directly attacking each other, not through proxies, but state to state. The war that had simmered for decades in the shadows had erupted into full daylight. At dawn on June 13, 2025, the skies over Iran lit up as Israel unleashed Operation Rising Lion, its largest air assault in decades. Framed as a last resort effort to stop what it called an existential nuclear threat, the strikes followed an IAEA report declaring Iran in breach of its nuclear obligations. Over 200 Israeli jets, including F-35 Ayyadirs, bombarded nearly 100 sites across Iran. Mossad crippled Iran's air defenses through sabotage and drones launched from a covert base near Tehran. The attacks decimated critical nuclear and military facilities and killed top Iranian generals, including Bagheri and Salami, and several leading nuclear scientists. Civilian casualties were heavy, with Iranian sources reporting up to 452 dead. Tehran burned. That evening, Iran struck back with Operation True Promise 3. Missiles rained down on Israeli cities. Tel Aviv's Kiryat military HQ was hit, and homes were leveled in Rishon LeZion and Bat Yam. Fires ripped through Haifa's oil refinery. In total, 24 Israelis were killed and nearly 600 were wounded. The war had arrived on both home fronts. Even the U.S. Embassy wasn't spared, hit by missile fragments. So now, as missiles hit both Tel Aviv and Tehran and sirens echoed across the region, the Iran-Israel conflict moved into dangerous, unfamiliar territory. What once involved threats and secret operations has now become an open war, marked by civilian deaths and rising fears of nuclear escalation. The speed and scale of the attacks shattered hopes of keeping the conflict contained. Israel's attempt to stop Iran's nuclear program through force has instead sparked a wider regional crisis. Iran's powerful response showed it can hit back as well. With diplomacy collapsing and emotions rising on both sides, a peaceful resolution seems more unlikely by the day. What started as a targeted strike now threatens to become a long and costly war with no clear end in sight. So, what do you think will happen? Are we on the verge of World War III? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.